it's that time of year, isn't it? It's that time of year.
You
Someone
smell it in the
argue
air.
someone argue it's better than Christmas. I would argue it's better than Christmas. The
It's
first
it's
round,
close. I'll tell you that.
it is definitely up there because it's the first round of not just the NHL, but also like the NBA is in their playoffs too, and the MLB season just started. Aside from like football, this is an exciting time to be a sports fan. But now let's get right into it, guys. The matchups are set in the Eastern Conference. Let's get into the first series between the New York Islanders, who are was the second wild card team, even though wild card doesn't really make sense in this case. I feel like I don't know about you guys. It's like they just call it that. It's not really a wild card team.
No, they can
Like,
make it a lot.
No.
No, I don't even know why it's called wild card. We should definitely. They could do a lot better with the
Yeah,
format. I
like one
think.
to eight, like 1-8.
Yeah.
But they are playing the second. Actually, they're not even a wild card team. The fucking Islanders are third in the Metro. They're third in the Metro, and they are playing second in the Metro. Carolina Hurricanes. This is a rematch. I believe this happened was it
Last year. Last year.
Last year,
Yeah.
and another rematch of what was it? Conference semifinals as well.
2019, I think.
2019.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, this series is certainly one of the series of all time. Darius, what is your take from the New York Islanders' perspective? They fired Lane Lambert, they brought in Patrick Watt, and now they're in the playoffs. So, what are the Islanders looking for in this series?
The Islanders are looking to survive. And I think they kind of like accomplished their goal in that they fired their coach because they thought they were going nowhere. And then they made the playoffs, like at the end of the day. It wasn't looking good for a long time, but they did it. They made the playoffs and pretty well. Like they weren't hanging around to fight for that wild card spot. They took that spot from the Flyers, really. Flyers really fell off. But yeah, they accomplished their goal. They fired their coach and they got in the playoffs. So they're just going to try and play Islanders hockey against the Hurricanes because the Hurricanes are, certainly on paper going to outclass the Islanders. But it's going to be interesting. Goaltending can play a factor in this series, I think, because the Islanders definitely have the better of the goaltenders. So I don't know. I think that they're just going to have to bore the Hurricanes to death. And I think if there's a team that does that pretty well too, like with some flashy offense, I think the Hurricanes can play that style too. So I don't know. It's going to be a tough watch. That's what it's going to be.
Yeah, certainly. Matt, what are the Carolina Hurricanes seeing going into this series against the Islanders?
Well, they picked up the secret weapon of the playoffs at the trade deadline in Jake Gensel, and he's going to be pretty much the key point to the Canes. Not even surviving the Islanders. It's more so just let's get this done as quickly as possible, and that's really what the Canes are going into the series as. The pesky Islanders will try their best to make this like a 6-game series, but the Islanders, far too much depth. Sure, they don't have the goaltending, but they've got Pyotr Kochetkov and they've got even Freddie Anderson if they really need to get past New York.
I think Freddie Anderson will end up being the starter in this series.
You would think, right?
He's been spectacular actually this season in the games he's been able to play. He did come back from an injury, but speaking to Jake Gensel, and ever since he joined the Carolina Hurricanes, 25 points in 17 games. I'd say that's pretty good. 17 assists, 8 goals though. So not really going crazy in the goals department just yet. But if we go to the playoffs, as Matt said, the guy is a absolute dog when it comes to the postseason. 58 points in 58 games played. We know what he did in those cup finals running at 13 goals in 16-17, 10 goals the year after. 10 goals in 12 games. He was an absolute monster. And the last playoffs the Penguins made, 21-22. 8 goals, 7 games. That is exactly what the Carolina Hurricanes needed in this series. Now, we know the Carolina Hurricanes are a deep-ass team. We look through their whole roster. They have a lot of good guys. And then on the back end, you got to think they outclass the Islanders aside from maybe a player like Noah Dawson. But Darius, how will the Islanders go about stopping such a potent offense and a strong defense? Is it just going to be up to Sorokin?
Yes, it is. Honestly, like I believe so. Looking at this series, I definitely think it's up to Sorokin because they just don't match up well, I think, against the Hurricanes. Hurricanes are a very good team. And, like, look at the point differential, too. Like, it speaks volumes. Whoever was going to get that third spot, it's like because it is the way it is, these divisional, whatever they want to call it, the setup for the playoffs, right? The format. That's the way it is. And even if you did 1-8, it's just past the first round. That 1-8 would be better, I think. But anyway.
For sure.
Yeah, I think it's up to Sorokin for sure. That's what it is. I think the Hurricanes outclass them everywhere except for goaltending, but we've seen it before. Goaltending can win you a series. So is it possible? Yes. I just don't see it happening, but I don't see the Islanders matching up well against the the Hurricanes.
Yeah, I don't either. Matt, do you see a way the Islanders can pull this out?
You need like heroic performances from guys like Barzal and Bo Horvat. Like that's the only way you can even think of a possibility that the Islanders can even force this to 7 games.
Yeah, of course. And it's gonna be a tough. It's gonna be, I think, like we always say about the Islanders, they always make it interesting. You know what I mean? No matter who's on their team, because like we talked about, Ilya Sorokin is an absolute X factor. Not to discredit Frederick Anderson, as we said, who has had a decent season. This year he has had a I don't. He's only played 16 games, mind you, but 13-2-0. That's pretty good. And save percentage of .932. I think that will be the starter heading into this season as long as he can stay healthy. We know as Leaf fans, me and Darius, that health has always been a factor with this guy. And every time we got to the playoffs, he had played too much and he was bad. So maybe the recovery from the injury will help a guy like Freddie Anderson really come in here. But if we go into the lines here, we know the Carolina Hurricanes tried to load up at the deadline. They got Gensel, and they also brought in Kuznetsov. Darius, do you think Kuznetsov has any kind of factor in this series?
I don't think he's like a needle mover per se, but I think he's been there before. I know he's older, but he played, like we covered it on the show too. He's played pretty well since he came over to the Hurricanes too. Maybe it's just less pressure and the contract thing, whatever. Obviously, the Capitals retained on that. And now he's, with a contender as well, because Washington's in the playoffs. We're going to cover that. Wouldn't categorize them as a contender, but Carolina is. So I wouldn't say he's going to be a needle mover, but if you need a goal in a situation where, the game is really tight and you're just going to need to find a goal, I could see Kuznetsov making a difference there just because he's been there. He has the experience and he can chip in for a goal here and there, but I don't think he's going to be, the superstar or take over his series or anything, but he's going to help. I think he'll be, there. Make a difference.
Yeah, a big problem that the Canes were eliminated by New Jersey last year is it's or not even eliminated by New Jersey. It was Florida. It was just that lack of clutch playmaking, and Florida was all over them. And with Gensel and Kuznetsov, they have that bona fide playoff performers on that team that can lead them to the next step. Because with Carolina, that window is closing
quickly.
Why do you think it's closing, Matt?
Well, they've been here, year in and year out with Brendan Moore. It's going to run out eventually. It always does.
Of course it does. And now, guys, question for you, Matt. Who is going to be the unsung hero for each team in this series, do you think?
Ooh, the unsung hero. I think for the Islanders, they got to have scoring on that back end. I think Noah Dobson, not even on scoring on the back end, just trying to stop that potent Hurricanes offense. And with the Hurricanes, it could be any one of them. That's how deep they are.
Yep.
But let's go with Svechnikov.
Andrei Svechnikov. Now, that's someone I do also want to discuss because I feel like a lot of people have been waiting for Andrei Svechnikov to really, really hit that next echelon of players. This year, I think he was coming off an injury going into the season. 52 points in 59 games, 19 goals. But I think when he was a very highly touted draft prospect coming out of Barrie a few years ago, people thought this guy was going to come in and score 40, 50 goals. His career high is 30. Also, to be fair, he's I don't want to say injury prone, but he does get hurt a lot, it seems. And when he does get hurt though, they're not 3-4 game injuries. He's out for games at a time. But in the playoffs, he's been interesting too because honestly, last year in the playoffs, nothing too crazy. You could argue he was playing injured, but he only had 5 points in 14 games. But before that, he's been okay. So I feel like Svechnikov, Darius, do you think he can come in and really make a name for himself in this series?
I still think there is more to Svechnikov based on what we've seen in the past. And like you said, when he gets injured, he gets injured. It's not like he's just banged up. He gets hurt, he misses time. So obviously he came into the season off that injury. I think he missed. I don't know if he ever did come back last year. Did he come back at the end? I can't remember. But no. He was injured throughout the playoffs. I don't think he ever did come back. So tough break. I think this is the time to kind of take it over, right? Show everyone that you can be in the next echelon of players and take over a series and take over games, right? Because he was drafted as that type of guy. I think he was drafted second overall. No, he was up there. I can't remember if it was second, but anyway, he was drafted very highly. So This is a great, see, bang, nailed it. He was drafted very highly and, was to be this next superstar. We thought he was going to be the superstar that the Canes, quote unquote, don't have. I think this is a great opportunity for him to do that. They made it far last year without him. What can they do this year with him and other pieces? I think that's exciting for Carolina, but I think this is a good opportunity for him. I still think there is more to his game, and he's relatively young. So I think he's like only 24 years old. So lots of time. I think he can get better.
Yeah, and of course, someone I do really want to touch on is Seth Jarvis, because we were talking about unsung heroes. I think this guy might come out as a superstar in this series for the Hurricanes. People want to talk about, especially Sebastian Aho versus Bo Horvat. That's going to be the main top two centers line. Sebastian Aho, 89 points this year in the playoffs. He's been decent, 12 points, 15 games last season. Before that, close to a point per game, but not exactly there. Bo Horvat, kind of similar numbers, but Seth Jarvis is going to have to be that guy. Like we talked about, I think he's more of a winger now than a center. I'm not too sure, but he just had 67 points in 81 games, 33 goals. I think Seth Jarvis is a guy the Carolina Hurricanes are gonna have to lean on to eat up some matchups, because as we know, like, the Islanders are deep. They have guys like Brock Nelson, Barzal, Pajot, all those guys. But Seth Jarvis, it's only his third year in the NHL. He's only 21 years old. I think it's time for Seth Jarvis to really make his name. I don't know what you guys see from Jarvis in this series.
Yeah, I mean, Jarvis, like you said, sort of doesn't like need to step up. Like, he always has to step up, right?
Yeah.
Like if the Canes want to hit that upper level.
Yeah, and the depth needs to be a lot better. I saw they're playing like Jack Drury at second line center. I don't know how that's far.
Yeah.
That's why you're bringing up Kuznetsov, but it does remain to be seen how good he will be. Now, just looking at the Athletic here, the most likely outcome for this series looks to be Carolina Hurricanes in 5 games. What do you guys have for the outcome of this series? Darius, what do you first?
I think last year was also 5 games, and I think that's pretty accurate. I would like to go 6 just because I think the unexpected usually happens in the playoffs. But I'm going to go with 5 because I just don't see the Islanders taking more than, like, the Hurricanes are too good. So I'm going to go with 5.
Matt?
It's going to be a sweep for Carolina.
Wow.
Damn. Okay. Yeah. I'll take the Hurricanes in 6 just to mix it up. But
nice.
All three of us do have the Carolina Hurricanes taking it. So it's gonna be an interesting series. We'll see what happens in that one.
For more content, visit our YouTube channel and check us out on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Don't forget to follow the guys on social media at Matt_Mondays, at Nick LaFlame, and at Darius Dominguez.